While LEGO often provides us LEGO Star Wars fans with some amazing sets, they often drop the ball or just fail to include sets that we really want in certain waves. And so this is the top 10 list of LEGO Star Wars sets we need to get in 2025. Now, just before we get into the list, we have two honorable mentions here. Two sets that I think should come out in 2025, but it wouldn't be absolutely essential for me for that specific year for a reason that I'll come to later. But first of all, we have the Jango Fett Slave 1. And of course, this set is long overdue, especially because the last one we got was in 2002 and it looked like this. Well, yeah, it definitely looks lackluster compared to now, and we really need an updated version of it. But LEGO, for some reason, just refuses to make one, and this would be amazing. That being said, I really hope LEGO doesn't make this into another downscaled version of the Slave One. That would honestly be such an injustice to such a beautiful ship once again. But I also really just think that this set would go so well with the Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter right now, especially if it is in a decent scale compared to it. And as the other honorable mention on this list, we have a turbo tank from the Bad Batch Season 2. And this set also is kind of overdue, of course, not as overdue as the one before this, but it would be amazing to see another turbo tank in Lego form, and especially if they make it at a good scale so that it actually scales well with the ATTE that is soon going to retire by the end of this year. I also think that this set would be the perfect set to include a Commander Hauser minifigure in, which is just such a unique clone trooper that we really should get. But now let's get into the actual list. And for 2025, I really would like LEGO to celebrate the 20-year anniversary of, no, not of LEGO Star Wars in general, but of the Revenge of the Sith. Because yes, next year is actually the 20-year anniversary of that movie, and getting sets based on that would be fantastic. Starting off this list, we have a diorama set. And I don't know about you, but when I think of episode 3, I think of the duel on Mustafar, which is such an epic scene. And I mean, a diorama of the duel on Mustafar would be fantastic. Of course, it would come with two minifigures, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, maybe with his evil Sith eyes battling it out on this lava plane, which would be amazing in a diorama form, especially because the last set of this battle that we got was an absolute snooze fest. And for number two, we are going to get into the MIDI scale sets, nowadays called the Starship Collection. And a lot of people hate on the new name because they say it's less versatile, but I think it's maybe even more versatile just because it's not called MIDI scale anymore, because that actually means that it allows LEGO Star Wars to put out Starship Collection sets that are in micro scale. But we'll get to that later. First, we have this Malevolence MIDI scale set. Now, this set isn't from episode 3, but come on, this set would go so perfectly next to the Invisible Hand we got this year in MIDI scale. And to me at least, this ship is just amazing looking, even though it does kind of remind me of that one freeze weapon from Despicable Me. But jokes aside, now we have the number 3 spot on this list, and this is actually a set that we've never had before, the Lucre Hulk, again in MIDI scale, or in this case, micro scale. See, that's what I meant by Starship Collection actually being kind of a good naming scheme for these types of sets. But anyway, even though we've never seen this before, I think this would be a great idea for a set. And last but not least, for the MIDI scale, we have a MIDI scale or Starship Collection Venator. I mean, come on, this thing really should exist, especially because LEGO already did the Invisible Hand, and this thing would pair perfectly with that set as well. And at this scale, it would be a lot more affordable for a lot of people to get another Venator, since, of course, the UCS version costs a lot of money. And this thing could look super detailed even at that scale, just like the Invisible Hand, so I think this would be amazing. But now let's get into the maybe more fun section to some of you, the playsets. And for number 5, we have the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid. And we haven't seen this thing since 2013. And I think it's such a cool build. And it would be a really nice set for maybe $25, $35 dollars, maybe even more if you include more minifigures. And yeah, I think this set really is overdue and would be a really cool playset. And next up, we have another droid. It's the Hailfire droid, which again, hasn't been done since 2015, so it's definitely overdue, and it's definitely overdue for a bigger remake. Of course, the last one was, I think, the smallest one Lego has ever done, so I think a bigger version, maybe even made out of Technic pieces or a mixture of Technic pieces and normal pieces, like the Droideka that is coming out soon, would be amazing to see, and I think would be a great playset and or also display set. And this next set will definitely excite some of you because it's a fan favorite set that we also haven't had in a long time. It's the Arc 170. This set is definitely overdue, especially with LEGO having made so many X-Wings over the past few years. It's honestly getting kind of boring without one of these once in a while. And I mean, this Arc 170 is synonymous with Episode 3, in my opinion, one of the most iconic ships from that movie, and I think it would be amazing to have another playset version of the set. Plus, this would be a great opportunity to get a remade version of the Kit Fisto minifigure, which definitely looks dated to nowadays standards. Now, getting into the number 8 spot, no wave of LEGO Star Wars is complete without some UCS sets. And starting that off, we have the General Grievous buildable figured UCS set. And honestly, I have been wanting this buildable figure to come out ever since LEGO released that buildable Chewbacca figure, which I think looks pretty goofy. But anyway, I think they could do much better with a droid build because it has much more angular features and not such soft, furry features like that Chewbacca, of course, does. So I think it was a really bad pick for such a big figure on LEGO's end, but I think they could do really well with a buildable General Grievous. I think could look really menacing, and at that price and at that scale, I think it would be a great display piece. And of course, the last one that we got really didn't do him justice, in my opinion, so it would be great to see a new version of that. And now, getting into the number 9 spot, we have a battle pack, which again is a must have for any LEGO Star Wars wave. And I have put here the 212th Trooper battle pack, basically an updated version of the Utapau Troopers battle pack that we have gotten before. But I think this one could be even better despite the misprints on the helmets. If they include 4 plain 212 minifigures instead of having the half and half with the airborne troopers, I think that would be a much better army builder and would be a great battle pack. And okay, sure, maybe you can include one airborne trooper because a lot of people do love that, but only if they include the Kama as an actual cloth piece and not as a print, which looks pretty terrible. But anyway, for the builds for this battle pack, I would love to see a 2 minifigure scale ATRT, which I think is very important because they've been making some really oversized ones recently, and then maybe a small bark speeder, also to minifigure scale, preferably as the other build. And finally, for the last spot on this list, I saved the biggest for last, a UCS Invisible Hand set. This thing would be phenomenal at that 600 euro or dollar price tag to go right beside the UCS Venator that we got last year, which is, of course, a phenomenal looking UCS set. And I think this thing, especially if they can integrate some sort of feature where you can display it as it splits in half, which I think is a feature that is missing from the current Invisible Hand in MIDI scale that is on shelves right now. I think it would be basically the perfect prequel UCS set. I don't know about you, but I've been dreaming about this set to be released at a bigger scale, and this would be amazing.